In 2021, American law enforcement seized more property from its own citizens than all burglars in the United States combined stole that year. No arrest required, no trial required, no conviction required, not even a single charge, just a badge, a legal doctrine most Americans have never heard of, and a system designed to make sure you never get your property back. This has been used to take cash, cars, homes, and businesses from over 100,000 Americans, many of whom were never accused of any crime. It is called civil asset forfeiture, and by the end of this video, you will never look at your rights the same way again. To understand how this works, you need to meet Tyson Timbs, a 26-year-old man from Marion, Indiana. In 2013, after his father died, Timbs used a $42,000 life insurance payout to buy a Land Rover LR2. During one of the darkest periods of his life, he became addicted to opioids. On 2 occasions, he sold small amounts of heroin to undercover police officers. Total value, $385. He was arrested, convicted, sentenced to 1 year of house arrest and 5 years of probation. He completed every single day of his sentence. But the state of Indiana was not finished. Prosecutors moved to seize his $42,000 Land Rover, the vehicle he purchased legally with inheritance money. The legal case was not titled State of Indiana versus Tyson Timbs. It was titled State of Indiana versus 2012 Land Rover LR2. They charged the car, not the man. Timbs fought back. The case went all the way to the United States Supreme Court. In 2019, 6 years later, the court ruled unanimously in his favor. But what that case revealed shocked the entire country. For decades, governments had been running a system of legalized seizures so aggressive it took a unanimous Supreme Court ruling just to establish a basic limit. Under standard criminal law, the government prosecutes a person. They must prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. The accused has rights, an attorney, presumption of innocence, due process. Civil asset forfeiture throws all of that out. The government does not prosecute the person. It prosecutes the property. And property has no constitutional rights. The actual case names in federal forfeiture proceedings read like a nightmare. United States versus $11,000 in U.S. currency. United States versus one 1990 Chevrolet Corvette. Because this is a civil proceeding, not criminal, the owner has no right to a court-appointed attorney. If you cannot afford a lawyer, you fight alone. And the legal fees to contest a forfeiture often exceed the value of what was taken. Most Americans simply give up, not because they are guilty, but because fighting back costs more than surrendering. Under a federal program called Equitable Sharing, local police departments receive up to 80% of the proceeds from whatever they seize. In 2019 alone, the DOJ Asset Forfeiture Fund held over $2.3 billion. Think about what that means. A police department that seizes more property receives more funding. The financial incentive does not point toward justice. It points toward taking. The Institute for Justice graded every state's forfeiture laws. States like Texas, Michigan, and Pennsylvania received D and F grades, meaning property owners had almost no legal protection. New Mexico reformed its laws in 2015, requiring a criminal conviction before any forfeiture. Forfeiture revenue dropped by over 90% almost immediately. That tells you everything about where the money was coming from. In 2016, Awa, a Burmese refugee and Christian music manager, was driving through Muskogee County, Oklahoma. He was managing a concert tour that had raised $53,000 for an orphanage in Burma. A deputy pulled him over for a broken taillight. Officers found the cash. No drugs, no weapons, no evidence of any crime. The cash was seized on the spot. Awa was not charged with anything. He was left on the side of the road, without his car, without $53,000, and without any legal recourse. The Institute for Justice took his case. After 10 months of legal battle and national media attention, the county returned the money, but most people in his position never see their money again. Then there is Tanaja, Texas, a town of roughly 1,000 people where court documents revealed a systematic pattern of traffic stops targeting Black and Latino drivers on Highway 59. Drivers reported being told, "Sign over your property and you can leave. Refuse, and you will be arrested and your children placed in foster care." A federal judge described it as a systematic shakedown operation, Jerry Johnson, a 70-year-old retired truck driver from Iowa, carrying $43,000 in savings through a Nevada casino parking lot when DEA agents approached him. No drugs found, no charges filed, every dollar seized. Johnson spent 18 months fighting through federal court to recover his own life savings. He eventually succeeded, but only because a legal aid organization helped him for free. The Washington Post tracked over 61,000 cash seizures made without warrants between 2001 and 2014, totaling $2.5 billion. More than a third were never challenged. Not because owners were guilty, because the system was designed to make fighting back not worth the effort. Civil asset forfeiture reform is slowly moving through state legislatures. As of today, 14 states now require a criminal conviction before permanent forfeiture can occur. If you are ever stopped carrying significant cash, do not volunteer information. Politely decline consent to a vehicle search. State clearly you do not consent. If property is seized, do not sign anything on the scene. Request a receipt for everything taken. Contact a lawyer immediately. You may have as little as 30 days to contest before the seizure becomes permanent. Check your state's grade at the Institute for Justice's Policing for Profit report at ij.org. If your state received a D or F, contact your state representative today. The law that lets the government take your property without charging you with a crime is real. It is funded. It is operating right now in your state. Next video, the Supreme Court case where an entire neighborhood was bulldozed. Not for a highway, not for a school, but for a private real estate development that was never even built. That story is coming next. This is not legal advice. Legal Dark Matter covers real U.S. legal cases for educational purposes only.